Most developers struggle with one big question. How do you actually connect your applications to Amazon's foundation models? In this video, I will walk you through Amazon Bedrock Runtime APIs so that you can unlock that power and start building GenAI apps the right way. Hello and welcome. My name is Harry and I am an AWS community builder and content creator here at Cloud with Harry YouTube channel. If you have any questions after watching this video, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find that detail in the video description as well as in the channel info. This video is designed for anyone who wants to understand how to integrate Amazon Bedrock into GenAI based applications. By the end of this session, you will know exactly how to integrate with Amazon Bedrock foundation models using runtime APIs. And you will have the foundation knowledge to start building more advanced GenAI powered solutions. So without wasting any time, let's move on. In this video, you will learn how to use Python and Boto 3 SDK to interact with the Bedrock API. You will learn how to run single prompt inference using code for both image and text generation. You will learn how to switch between foundation models using code and understanding the invocation options for the Bedrock runtime. Now let's understand what are the prerequisites of this video. First of all, you should have an AWS account with proper permission to access the Amazon Bedrock. This is a must requirement. You should have an AWS account because if you don't have AWS account, you will not be able to follow along with me. So you should have an AWS account, either free tier or paid account, whatever, but at least you should need that AWS account. Second is Python. You need to have Python installed on your local system. And you also need Boto 3 SDK and a local IDE like Visual Studio Code. We will need that. Don't worry about Python, Boto 3, and one more thing that you need is AWS CLI, because we will go through all those setups before we start our actual hands-on. So I will guide you how to install Python, Boto 3, and AWS CLI on your local system. But make sure that you should have an AWS account. So that's the main important prerequisite for this particular hands-on exercise. Now, before we start and move on, let's first talk about what is Amazon Bedrock. So Amazon Bedrock is a fully managed service that makes it easy to build and scale generative AI applications. It helps you to get access to high-performing foundation models from leading AI companies and Amazon through a unified API. So the key idea is simple. You get access to a wide range of foundation models from different providers like Anthropic, Cohere, AI21, Meta, Stability AI, and of course Amazon owned Titan models. And same thing, you can access them through a single API without worrying about infrastructure management. Now, why it matters? You might be thinking that, right? So normally training or even fine tuning a model requires tons of compute, storage, and ML expertise, right? But with Bedrock, you don't have to set up servers, manage any GPU, or even touch model code. And that's why it matters. You simply choose the model that fits with your use case and then just start integrating it into your application, which you might have created using multiple different AWS tools. So that's the beauty of it. You don't really have to manage anything. You can just directly integrate this with your existing application that you have implemented using different AWS tools. It provides you speed to market and helps you in creating GenAI based application with a fast pace. Now, what are the things you can do with Amazon Bedrock? You can generate and summarize content. For example, if you are writing marketing copy, or you can summarize lengthy reports with this. You probably can create your chatbots and virtual assistants to assist your customer support and sales team. You can also use it for search and data analysis. You can extract insights from many documents and probably create knowledge bases. You can create and personalize experiences. For example, on your website, you could probably add product recommendations or financial planning summaries for your customers. Another powerful feature is customization and fine tuning based on the needs. You can bring your own data to customize a model so that it can better understand your specific domain, whether it's insurance, healthcare, retail, or finance, without you retraining the model from scratch. And with features like RAG, which means retrieval augmented generation, you can connect model to your company data to generate domain specific responses as well. So in short, Amazon Bedrock removes the heavy lifting of working with generative AI. It lets you experiment quickly, scale confidently, and focus on building real applications that deliver real value without worrying about model management or infrastructure. So that's why it matters, and these are the things which are basically the use cases for Amazon Bedrock. Now let's talk about what we are going to do in the hands-on exercise. we will go and set up Amazon Bedrock API. So first of all, we will need to go and get the model access from Amazon Bedrock so that we can use those models in our code. We will be interacting with Bedrock foundation models through code. We will see how to do that in a little bit. We will also see how to generate an image through API calls. We will see how to invoke a model with streaming. And in the end, we will do a recap of what we have just learned. So these are the things we are going to do in our hands-on exercise. So let's move on and start with our first step, which is setting up the Amazon Bedrock and requesting the model access for this exercise. So let's go to the AWS Management Console and then we can start from there. So I will be walking you through what you need to set up before you interact with the Amazon Bedrock APIs. The first thing that you need to do is to manage your foundation model access. In Bedrock, you have to turn on access to whatever models you would like to use for your code or for your application before you can make any API calls. You can do this by navigating to the Amazon Bedrock service in the AWS Management Console. So here in the search bar, you can type Bedrock and then it will show you Amazon Bedrock. Click on this and then it will open up the Amazon Bedrock landing page. In the landing page, you can click on this hamburger menu. Once you click it, it will show up all the options and just scroll down and click on the model access. So this will list all the models that are currently you have access to or the models that for which you want access. If you want to work with particular model, you can click on modify manage access and then select the models for which you need access and you can unselect it if you don't want access for any particular model. So for our purpose, I will make sure that I have access to the Cohere model from command and the stable diffusion model from stability AI. So you can scroll down and you can see that these are the models from Cohere, command R+, embed English and embed multilingual. So I can click on command R and then scroll down more to see the stability AI models. So here we have this SDXL 1.0, which is for the image generation. And then we can click on this model as well and click on next from here. Here it will show you a screen where you can review and submit your request. You can see that we are requesting model access for command R from Cohere and SDXL 1.0 model access from Stability AI. By submitting this, you will be able to access this model. It should be available instantly as soon as you request. If it is taking time for you, just refresh your page and it should be available to you. Right now it is showing in progress for me for command R and for Stability AI also it is showing in progress. So let me refresh my page and see if I can access these models now. It should take maximum 1 minute normally and then the model access is available to you. So it's still showing me in progress. So I will pause the video right now and then once it's available for me to use, then I will start the video again. Hopefully it should be quick and we should have access to these models as soon as possible. So right now it is showing in progress. It says that model access request submitted. It may take several minutes to get access to models. Refresh the base models table to view the updated status. So let's refresh again and see if we have the access. Now I can see that I got the access for the command R and for stability AI SD XL model also access granted. So now I have everything set up for the Bedrock. I can access these models using Bedrock API. So after setting up Amazon Bedrock and getting access to the foundation models, the next step is to prepare our local development environment. We will be interacting with Amazon Bedrock's foundation models using Amazon Bedrock API. And for that, we will be using Visual Studio Code as our IDE. So before we start coding, there are a few housekeeping tasks that we need to take care of. The first thing that we need to do is to configure AWS CLI. So your local IDE should have AWS CLI installed and configured. You can easily download it from the official AWS website. After installation, make sure to configure it using your credentials. And once it's there, you can just run command AWS configure, and then it will show you your access key ID as well as access key and your default region, which is US East 1 for me because I have a requested access of models in US East 1 region in AWS and the default output format that you can skip also, or you can just type like JSON or whatever format you are comfortable viewing the output. So that's the first thing that you have to do. The second thing is you need to install the Python. So for Python, you can head over to the official Python website and download the version compatible with your operating system. It could be like Windows, Mac, or Linux. You can follow the installation instruction based on your operating system. And once you download, you can check the version of Python installed on your system, and it should show current installed version of Python. Next is we need to get access to Boto3 library. Boto3 library is something that we need to interact with the AWS services when you are using Python. That's the library that we need. So you can install Boto3 library on your system as well. The command that you need to run is to pip install Boto3, and then it will install the Boto3 library on your local system. Okay, so Boto 3 is installed on the local system. Now let's review what we have done. So we have installed AWS CLI and also configured AWS on our local system. To verify that, we can run AWS Bedrock list foundation models. So this command can show us all the models we have access to in US East 1 region in AWS. So once you run this command, if your AWS CLI is configured correctly, you should be able to see something like this. So here you can see that it is providing the model summary, the model IDE, and other details. You can press enter and then it will keep showing you all the models that you have access to in AWS Bedrock. So here you can see that the provider name showing Anthropic and this Cloud Sonnet 4 model. So all the models to which you have access in Amazon Bedrock will be displayed here once you will run this command. So at this point, we have everything that we need to code in Python and then interact with the foundation models using Bedrock API. So here is the pattern that you have to follow to code in Python. So whenever you write any script to interact with the foundation models using Bedrock API, these are the exact things that you need to code in your program. So let's go through each step one by one and understand what they are doing. So first is the setup and configuration. So what we are doing here is we are basically importing few libraries that we need in our program. So Boto 3 SDK that we are importing because this is the SDK which will allow us to interact with Amazon Bedrock service. Similar to other services that you can interact with, for example, S3 or SNS, SQS, all the AWS services that you can interact with programmatically, you need this library. So Boto 3 is imported for that. Now the response that we will get from the model, to pass that response, we are using JSON. So that's why we imported JSON. Now, the other things that we need for our setup and configurations are the model ID. Model ID is something that you have to provide for to which model you are trying to interact. For example, we will interact with the cloud model or Cohere model or stability AI model. So you need to provide those model IDs here. Then again, the region is important because as you know that whenever we request access, model access in AWS Bedrock, we get access specifically in one specific region. So for that purpose, you have to provide which region you are trying to access that model. And the third one, which is important piece, is your own prompt. What are the things that you are trying to ask to the model? What's your question or those kind of things? So prompt is nothing special here. You know what exactly it is. So these are the things which we have to first of all mention in our program. Now, second part is utility functions. So you can even write these code directly, but it's better to have utility functions so that you can call these modules whenever you need that. So what I have done here is I have created one function to read the prompt from a file so that I can add my prompts in the file and change that instead of hard coding that prompt in my program. And the second one is creating the Bedrock client. So again, we are using Boto 3 library and we are using Bedrock runtime to create the Bedrock client. This is the standard format. You do the same thing if you are trying to basically interact with any other AWS service. So these are boilerplate code that you would need in your program. Third step is where we basically invoke the model. So this is model specific function which you will use to invoke the model and get the response back from the model, right? So for invoking the model, because it's an API, so you have to create the body that you would send in the API request, and then the model will respond back to you. And then in the response, we are basically accepting the response for content type would be application JSON. So the response will come in the JSON format, right? And then we are just dumping the body into the body variable, which is again a JSON type. And then we are loading the result set from the body. Now here you see a comment that extract text based on the model response. So once you get the result, that result will not be the exact response that you are looking for. It will be some raw response from the model, and then you will need to extract the exact text response from that body or from that result set. So it again depends on model to model. Like some models they have different response format, so you have to review that result and then understand what particular key from that response you would need to read to extract that particular text. But the whole code that I have mentioned here is the same that you would use for all different type of models. And then you have your main execution where you are reading the prompt, creating the client, and then you are basically invoking the model, getting the response and printing it out. So this is the structure. This is how we code in Python to interact with any foundation models using Bedrock API. So what are the key things here we need? So key things that you need to know is the model ID and your prompt. Obviously you need that. And then you need to basically figure out how to extract the text from the result. Body is another thing that you have to figure out because every model, they have different keys that they can accept in the body. So you need to figure that out. So for that, you can review the API documentation of that model, and I will quickly show you how you can figure this out. So for our first example, we are going to interact with the Cohere model. And then for that, how you can go and review the request and response structure that I'll show you next now. So let's go to AWS Management Console and I will show you how you can review what are the things that you need to provide in the body before you invoke a model and get response from it. So let's go to AWS Management Console now. So I'm in AWS Management Console here on the Amazon Bedrock landing page. You can click on Model Catalog and this will list all the models from different providers. And we are interested in Cohere, so click on Cohere and then it will list all the models from Cohere. And now you go to the model you are interested in and you want to understand the request response and want to get more information how to invoke that model and all that information basically. Now you can click on any model you are interested in to get more information about the model, for example, the model ID and other specific details. So let's go to the command R, that's what we are using. So you can get some overview of the command R model and then you can also see what categories it supports. And this is the model ID. So remember I showed you in the setup and configuration that you need a more model ID. So you can get the model ID from here. You can copy that and paste that in your program. And it also provides which languages it supports, for example, English, French, Spanish, and all that. Now, next is the usage. So this information will provide you all the details like how to use this model and if you want to use this model programmatically, what are the request and response structure that you need to follow. All that detail is available here. So let's click that. And here we are in the documentation for the Amazon Bedrock and specifically for the Cohere model. We have all the documentation here. Now you can click this Cohere command R and command R plus models. And here you can see that it has the request and response structure and one code example as well. So in the request structure, you can see that it has provided all the key and key value pair for in the JSON format that you need to provide in your body whenever you invoke a model. Now, not all fields are mandatory. You have to a little bit read and go through this documentation to understand what fields are really important or required and what fields are optional. So for example, we can see that the following fields are required parameters. For example, message is something which is equals to your prompt. So whatever prompt you are inputting to the model, that's what goes into this message parameter. And rest all are optional parameters. The following are the optional parameters. So you don't really have to provide other parameters in the request body. And you can just use this information and structure your request body. And the response will come in this format. And you can see that in the response, we have the text. And this is what you need to basically read to get the response from the model that you are really interested in. So basically, whenever you will submit a prompt, the response of that prompt will come inside this text parameter. So you need to cast that information from the response, which will be in the JSON format. So that's how you can review the documentation and modify your program, which I provided I showed you in a few minutes before. And then if you scroll down, you can also see a code example, how it is being used here. You can copy this whole code and also execute exactly. They have provided everything that you need to do. So here you can see that they are also using the JSON and Boto3 SDK. And then here they are creating the Bedrock client. And then here they are invoking the Bedrock model and they're passing the body. So if you go to the main function, we can see that this is how they are structuring their body. So what they are doing, they are basically providing the message. The message is nothing but your prompt here. And then they have also using chat history feature or chat history parameter, which will carry or capture all the chat history that it will include all the things that you have asked to the model previously. And this max token is something which defines the size of the response. And then this temperature defines the randomness in the response. So again, you can play with these values to see whether you are getting the correct response from the model or not. And that way you can play with it and test the model response using these parameters. So this is the code example. Basically, you can just copy and run it. But I just wanted to show you how you can get this information from the documentation and then write your code, because code writing is not an important thing. You can even use ChatGPT to write this code for you, but it's really important to figure out how you can find the relevant information, how you can understand how to interact with the model. That's really important, and that's how you can do that. Here in documentation, you can see that they have provided information almost for all the models that are available in Amazon Bedrock. So for example, Amazon Titan models, which are Amazon's model, Anthropic Cloud models, AI21 lab models. So all the models documentation is available here. You can review their request response structure. You can even see some code examples and play with that, and you really interact with these models programmatically. So that's it. I just wanted to show you this information so that you can play with some other models if you want to. Now let's go back to our IDE again, and then we will follow the boilerplate code, and then we will just fill in the requested information, for example, model ID and prompt, and we will also format the body structure based on the different model types. And then we will try to run that program locally and see if we can get the response back from the model. So let's go back to our IDE and then we can do some experimentation and then practice over there. So I'm here in my IDE, and this is the boilerplate code that I have created. In this code, basically, we will try to use different models and we'll try to interact with them. But as I showed you that some of the code is almost same. We have to just make few changes, and then we can use the same code for different models. As I showed you that there is a step one where we set up and configure the model, where we provide the model ID and the prompt. Then the second is utility functions, where you need to basically read your prompt from a different file, creating a Bedrock client, and if you want to store outputs in a different directory, then you can create that as well. And then the invoke model function. So let's go through this template, and we will try to use this template and try to interact with different models using Bedrock API. So if I start from the top, we are importing Boto3, JSON, base64 for basically we will try to interact with the models to generate images like stable diffusion model or Amazon Titan image model. So we will try to use those models to interact with them and generate images. And there are some other libraries that I have imported for file operation as well as for timestamp. Now here for the setup and configure step, we have to provide the model ID. And as I showed you that you can get the model ID from Amazon Bedrock landing page. You can go to the model access. If I go back here again and show you, you can go to the model catalog, and within the model catalog, once you open the model, you can copy the model ID from there. It will like model catalog will show models from multiple providers. You can just select whichever model provider you need, and then you can just go inside and get that information. For quicker access to these model IDs, I have added them here in the comments so that I can quickly copy and paste them here. So let's first try to interact with the Anthropic cloud model. So we are going to use this model ID, and I can just change this model ID here and provide this name. Now, this model name is not required that I'm showing that in the output. When I will run the program, it will show you that which model it is using. So for that purpose, we can just provide that information so that we can see in the logs which model we are using. In case if you want to compare the model output, we can use that information, and in the logs you can easily see which model is generating what, and then you can compare those outputs. Region is already there, US East 1, we don't have to change anything. For the prompt, I'm putting prompt in the prompt file, so I can go into the prompt.txt, and here I added a prompt, what is AWS well architected framework. So I'm reading my prompt from a file. In case if I want to change, I can just go and change the prompt in the text file instead of modifying that in the program. This is the output directory. So we are going to use this when we will generate the image. Right now, like for text-based interaction with the model, we are not going to store those outputs in text files. So we will just output that on console. Now for the utility functions, we don't have to modify anything. It's just the function to read the file. This is to create the Bedrock client using Bedrock runtime, and here we have to provide the region. And then this is just creating the output file in case it's not there. Now the next part is invoking the model. So for invoking the model, we have to create the body structure. That's what we will send in the API call. So for easy reference, I have added the body structure for multiple different models. This I have created after reviewing the documentation which I showed you. So for example, for Anthropic cloud model, this is the body structure where you have to provide the Anthropic version. So here Bedrock 2023 531. So this is the version, the most recent updated version. And then this is how we have to send the prompt. So we have to put that in the message parameter. We have to provide role that we are submitting prompt as a user, and then content of that prompt. So it will go like this. The max token is something that you can play with, and it basically determines the size of your response. So in case if you're looking for a bigger response size, you can increase this max token. If you keep it short, then your response might get truncated. So keep that in mind. Temperature, this is kind of an optimal value. If you reduce this, then it will increase more randomness in the output. So just see the documentation and just keep it to the default value. That would be good. So this is the body structure for the Anthropic cloud model. Here is the body structure for the Cohere Command R. You can see that mostly everything is same. The only difference is that we don't need to provide the version for Cohere in the body. And this is the body structure for the Stability AI image generation model. So we have to provide flexed prompt. This is basically the prompt which it will use to generate the image. And these are some other parameters that you need to set for this model to work. So you can see width and the height. And so this is basically the image size and number of samples that we want to generate. How many images it will generate, it will depend on this. So this is what you can use. You can just have this information available in your program if you're just experimenting. This program is not made for production grade or something like that. It is just for our testing and getting a feel of how to interact with the foundational models using Bedrock API. So I just added here this information for reference purpose only, so that we can easily access that. Now in the program, Here is the body, so we can just replace this. So here we are using the Anthropic Cloud version, so let's use this body structure, and everything is there. We just have to copy the message and the Anthropic version. So let's replace this here. We can uncomment this now, and we don't need this, so we can just comment out this. So here you can see that the body structure is ready for the API call. We are providing the Anthropic version, message token, user, and token prompt. Prompt is already coming from the text file. And the response will come here. When we invoke the model, we have to provide model ID, content type, and the accept type, and the body that we have created here. And we are now reading the body from the response, and which is coming the results. And we are right now just displaying the results. So let's try to run this as it is. We will see how it displays the information. So when it is trying to process response, what we are doing, we are basically calling process response. So let's go down and understand what's exactly happening. So in the process response, we are just returning the raw response from the model. We are not processing and getting the exact text from the response. So we will see how to do that in a little bit. And this is the main function. So we are reading the prompt, and then we are creating the Bedrock client. So this is the first step. First you have to read the prompt, then you have to create the Bedrock client, and then you can just invoke the model by the invoke model. You're basically calling the invoke model method, where you're providing the client and the model ID and the prompt, and we are just displaying the raw response from the model. So this is what's currently going on. Let's go and run this program and see what we get from the model when we submit this particular prompt to it. And we are using Anthropic Cloud model. So here you can see that we are running Cloud 3.5 Amazon Bedrock model, and this is the prompt. We are invoking the model, and this is the response that we got from the model. So here you can see that it's a raw response. It has information like the ID and the type, which is a message, role is assistant, and model, and then there are some other information which is available here. But the main thing that we are interested here is this part, which is in the text part within the content, where we have the response from the model, like the AWS well-architected framework is a set of best practices, guideline, and all that. So now what we need to do, we need to basically parse this information from the response so that we can display that in a more readable fashion, right? So let's go back to the process response method. I have added this comment here. If there's a text in the response, then just return the text. But if there's a content in the response, and if the content is a type of array, then we are just parsing the text from it. So this is what basically going to execute for the Anthropic Cloud model, because the response structure is following this particular code. So let me copy this code, and I'll just paste it here, and I'll just remove this now. So right now this code won't execute because it's the response, the text is not in the response, but the content is in the response. So this will execute, and now we are returning the text from the response, and let's see what we get now. So in the main method, I will go there and just change a little bit more. I will add these lines so that we can differentiate between the real result. So this is what we are going to verify now, output from the model. So it should be a well formatted text that we should see in the console now. So let's run this again. All right. Okay, so now here you can see that we got the raw response, and now later we took out text from the response, and we displayed that in the console like this. So this is how you basically interact with the Anthropic Cloud model using code. Let's revisit this again so that we understand what we did. So first of all, we made a change here. We added the model ID, and then we just added the model name here so that we can see this information here, which we displayed in the console, that what exactly is happening. And the region parameter is already provided. In case you are using different region, you can change that. The prompt is coming from the prompt file. So let's try to change a prompt here, and let's ask what is AWS S3 and SNS. Let's try to ask this question. So now you can see that AWS S3 is a simple storage service, AWS SNS is simple notification service, and we got some response back from the model. Now let's quickly modify this same thing, and let's see if we want to use a different model, how easy it is to change it. So let's suppose now we decide to use the cohere command R model, then we just have to update the model ID here. So I updated the model ID, and for our display purpose on console, let's change this also. We just have to update the body now. So for the body, you can see that for the cohere command R, it's exact same. Here we have to say messages, but here it should be message. So we just have to update this to message here, and just remove this piece. I think that's it, and we don't have to change anything else now. So let's try to run this now. So now you can see that I think it is messages. Let me review this again. So let's go back to the documentation. I thought it's message, but it could be messages. So let's go to the cohere and then command R, and here we can go and see the inference parameters and responses for the command R model, and it says message here, right? So we were right, we gave right thing message, but there's something else wrong there. So let's check what's wrong in our code. So got it. So message should be just prompt. You can see that message is directly equals to prompt. We don't have to provide role and content here, which is required for the Anthropic cloud. So we just have to provide the prompt here. That's it. So just remove this piece and that's it. So now we are providing parameter message with our prompt and max token and the temperature, and it should work now. All right, it seems it's working. It's calling the model, and now we got the response back from the model. So same thing, we can see that the output from the model, AWS S3 SNS both are services provided by Amazon, and then we got information from the model. You can see that here the response is a little bit different than what we got from the cloud model. So, but you can use this information and probably compare and see which model is giving you better response, and that way you can use that model for your project or for whatever you are working on basically. So this is a really good way to compare and see which model you can use. But for our testing purpose, we can easily just ignore this because this is probably not something which we are really interested in. The main purpose of this hands-on is to understand how to code and interact with these APIs via code. One thing that I want to show here is that you don't need to remember all the code here. It's just the boilerplate code, and there are few things that you have to change because we are using Bedrock API. It's exactly the same way we have to call the API. We have to provide the model ID. We have to set the region. We have to create the Bedrock API client, and once we have that ready, then we just have to prepare the body structure for calling any specific model, and then just invoke the model with the required parameters, and the required parameters don't change. So we haven't changed anything in this method. You can see that in the client.invoke model, we are not changing anything here because this is something which is constant. We are providing model ID and the body. The rest everything is same. So the calling part of the API is same. The only thing that you will have to change is the model ID and the body. That's it. So that's what I want to explain you, that you don't have to remember anything. You should know where you have to go to get that and fetch that information. So that's my purpose of showing you all that information here. So that's how you can basically interact with the text-based models using Amazon Bedrock API. We tested two models, Anthropic Cloud and Cohere Command R. Now next, let's test the Stability AI image generation model. So same thing, we don't have to make any change here. Whatever I just told you, we will go and update the model ID first. So let's update the model ID. And because this is a text to image generation model, the body part or the body structure is a little different. So we just have to use that body structure, what I have provided as a sample in this program. So I added the model ID, updated the model name for the display purpose. Everything else will be same here. We will update the prompt later. And let's go to the invoke model method. Here we will use this body now. So I will just add it here, and I'll just uncomment this, and I will comment this out. So our body structure is ready for the Stability AI diffusion model. Let's update the prompt now. Generate an image of cat sitting on sofa. All right, so we have everything ready. So let's try to run this and see if we can get the image generated. And once it will generate the image, it will go inside the generated outputs because that's the directory which we have created, right? If we go up, we can check that quickly. So output directory, and the directory is created where we are. What is the directory name? The name is generated outputs. So generated output directory name is going to be created, and it's already there because we already ran this program. So the directory is already there. If it will be not there, then this function will create it. So let's try that. All right. So you can see that stable diffusion Excel via Amazon Bedrock. We are calling that model, invoking the stable diffusion X1 model, and this is the base 64 encoded text. That's the response which is coming out. So just ignore that. But we can see that the output of the model is showing null, but nothing is generated. Let me see what happened. Okay, got it. So what we did is we just updated the body. So we updated the body structure, but when we got the response, we did not pass the response for the stable diffusion model, right? You can see that I have added a code here. So what we are doing here is, let me first copy this code, and what I will do, I will just add another elif here and just paste it here. All right. So what it will do now our code is basically ready to parse response from cloud model or Cohere model or from the stable diffusion model. So now we have this code ready. Now it will be able, our code will be able to use this data and generate image. Previously we were not generating it. We were just displaying the raw response. That's why we saw the raw response, but we didn't get any output after that because we didn't use this particular code. So let's clear this out and run it again. Now we can see the output from the model, image saved to output, generated output. Let's check out the image. All right, you can see here that our image is generated, and our prompt was generate an image of cat sitting on sofa, and it's kind of similar to that. So yeah, that's how you use Stability AI stable diffusion model to generate images via code. You can play with it more. You can change the prompt and just run this code. Main important thing, just make sure that you create the body structure before calling the Bedrock API. And once you get the response, you should parse it correctly based on the response structure of the model. These are the important things that you have to make sure, and then just you can create your own functions, or you can just have a one particular program where you handle all those things. That's it. That's what I wanted to show you. We learned in this exercise that how to use Python Boto3 library to interact with the Amazon Bedrock service using Amazon Bedrock API. We got the access from the Bedrock first, and then we created this program where we try to call that API and get the information from the model based on the prompts we submitted. Okay, guys, so till now we have seen how to use Bedrock API model with the invoke model operation, which allows us to submit our prompt and get response back from the model in one go. So everything, whatever model has to generate, it generated that and then sent back to us in the response. But what if we want to get the response in chunks, like in stream format? So there is another API operation which you can use with Amazon Bedrock, which is called invoke model with response stream. With this operation, you can get the response in stream format, and you will get basically the response in chunks, and that you can display for your user. It will provide user kind of typewriter effect where text appears progressively. It will basically enhance the user experience and also reduce the waiting times. So this kind of operation is mainly useful for chat based applications where you want to generate some response or feedback for the user, and then they can perceive the response and understand what exactly the model is generating and whether they like that response or not. So they can basically start reading the response from the model as soon as they submit the prompt. So it can basically improve user experience, as well as you can basically use it for better memory management, and the entire response does not need to be saved in the memory. So that way it will be beneficial. So let's go through this program, which is a simple, again, the simple program which we will use to interact with the Bedrock API using this invoke model with response stream method or operation. And we will interact with the Entropic cloud model in streaming format. So let's see that and understand what are the changes I have made here. There are not many changes specifically. We just made few changes in the program, and let me show you that exactly what we have done. Okay, so let's see this program. In this program, you can see we are still using Boto3 and JSON, which we were using previously. We are providing the model ID. Currently, in this case, we are using Anthropic Cloud Model. We are providing prompt in a file. We are using the same utility functions. And here's the streaming function. I mean, if you see this function, it is still the same. We have not made any changes. The only change which we made is that now we are using this operation, which is invoke model with response stream. We are still passing the model ID and the body structure, which is carrying our prompt. The body structure is still the same, what we need to use for the cloud model. And here we are processing the response. So the response coming from the model in this situation, or in this case when we are using the invoke model with stream response. So basically we are getting the stream back from the model, and then we are processing those streams and printing that chunk of data on the console. So again, this is something that you can read in documentation. It is nothing but the response structure and how to parse that response structure and display that on the console, or you want to kind of store it somewhere, so you can get that information from the documentation. The only major thing that we have changed here is this invoke model with response stream. Now, one important thing that I want to tell you, that not all model in Amazon Bedrock supports streaming. So you have to again read the documentation to understand which model supports streaming, and that you can read using the Amazon Bedrock model catalog. There you can see all the models, and from there you can reach to the AWS documentation specific for those models. So let's try to run this program and see how it is generating the stream response. So let me first show you the prompt. So we are using this prompt, difference between SNS and its event bridge in AWS. So let me Python. And here you can see that it is generating the response in stream format, which is much better for user experience, and you get the response back from the model as soon as you submit the prompt. So you don't have to wait for long. It reduces the latency, and you can get the feedback from the model as soon as you submit the prompt. So this is how the invoke model with response stream works. I just wanted to show you this, that there is another operation also which you can use with the Bedrock API to interact with the foundation models. Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. So finally, we have completed this hands-on exercise where we interacted with the foundation models using Bedrock API. We used two operations to interact with the foundation models. One was the Invoke model API, which allowed us to get the response back from model in one go. And then we looked into the Invoke model with the response stream, where we were able to generate the response from model in the streaming format. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you like it, please like and subscribe to my channel, and share this video with others who wants to learn about how to interact with foundation models using Bedrock, using code. If you have any comments, any suggestions, please write down in the comments, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, you can ask me there. Please like and subscribe. That's the one thing which I'm kind of looking for, and I'm really looking forward to make more videos, useful videos for you to learn more about AWS and GenAI specifically. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in next video. Bye.